Hello everybody and welcome back to the 5th episode of LH's RH Show where I, Luis Henrique, talk about Rio's history. Today we're here in front of the world-renowned Guanabara Bay in front of the beautiful city of Rio de Janeiro and Niterói. And as you can tell, Rio is one of the most beautiful historical locations in Brazil, even when it's about to rain. But something that people don't really know is that Rio is actually the home to many different institutions and museums that preserve some of Brazil's most important stories, including the topic of today's video, Mr. Alberto Santos Dumont, which is known for being the Brazilian pioneer of aviation.
Okay, let me clear that statement up a little bit. Mr. Alberto Santos Dumont was a Brazilian born in 1873 in the little city of Palmira in the state of Minas Gerais. A little fun fact about the city is that it has since then been renamed to, well, Santos Dumont, due to his incredible influence on the city's culture. But anyways, little Santos Dumont was the sixth son of Henrique Dumont and Francisca de Paula Santos, who were a very wealthy family and often made trips to Paris, which was the place where the young pioneer would eventually showcase his spectacular inventions. The young Brazilian showed a love for engineering very early on, and due to this, he quickly began experimenting with his own creations, which would culminate in his revolutionary flights that occurred during the early 1900s. These test flights would eventually transform him into a world-renowned engineer and inventor, so much so that these experiments, considered by many to be the dawn of aviation, earned him the title of the Brazilian pioneer of aviation, as well as having many institutions honoring his legacy.
And one of those institutions is this one right here, the Aeroporto Santos Dumont, which is the airport that was named after him. And this airport connects the city of Rio to many other really important Brazilian cities like São Paulo and Brasília, for example. And Santos Dumont, considered by us Brazilians as the father of aviation, is such an important figure for us Brazilians that this airport wasn't the only thing that was named after him. No, in fact, many streets, avenues, and cities were named after the famous Brazilian pioneer. And he gets look at that, the lights. You see that? I did that. You see that? No.
Anyway, continuing on, basically what I was trying to say during that failed tape is I wanted to show this mural that showcases some of Santos Dumont's most important creations. And I really quickly wanted to highlight that little plane right there with a 14. That one is very important, and we're going to see it in a second. Let's continue.
And to give you an even bigger picture of how important this man is for us Brazilians, we are about to go to Rio's Aerospace Museum to check out some of this man's most important inventions. You ready? Let's go. So here we are at Rio's Aerospace Museum. Let's go see what it has inside. And as you can hear and see, it's Sunday!
And as you just saw during the reels, this place is packed with a bunch of historical planes from Brazil's history. And as such, it is only fitting that there's a space dedicated to the brilliant Brazilian and his astronomically important innovations to the world of aviation. This space highlights some of the most important moments of his career, and to be honest, there's so many things in that room that we don't even have time to talk about everything. I mean, even his heart is stored forever in that museum. I'm not kidding. After his tragic passing in 1932, his heart was saved as kind of a lasting memory of the man. And now it stays permanently inside of this golden ball known as the aviator's heart. Listen, I know, that took a strangely dark turn, didn't it? I'm sorry. Let's just focus on the planes for now. In fact, before I talk about the planes in and of themselves, I would like to quickly shine a light upon Santos Dumont's other passion, blimp balloons. Yeah, He also was a visionary when it comes to the development of drivable balloons, and his most notorious accomplishment in this area was his flight around the Eiffel Tower aboard his blimp balloon, the number 6, in 1901. He did this as a part of a competition that offered its winner the Deutsch Award, which in other words basically means 100,000 francs to whomever wins. And to be honest, that's a lot of cash for the time. And of course, Mr. Dumont was the one who won the prize. Oh, and just before I talk about the mysterious 14 plane I teased at the beginning of the video, I would like to quickly mention that Santos Dumont had a house in Rio. More specifically, it's located in Petrópolis, and unfortunately, we weren't able to go the extra mile this time to showcase his house. So here's a little replica of it. Typically, it's known as the Encantada here in Brazil, and it's actually quite iconic as it marked the beginning of a couple of innovations in some areas that weren't related to the airplanes. The most important one being the introduction of the shower with hot water in Brazil. He created the house, and it's still a very popular tourist location near the city of Rio. Well, now that we got all that out the way, we can finally talk about Dumont's magnum opus. You see, all this time we've been talking about some of Dumont's most impressive stories and accomplishments. However, none of them are remembered with as much fondness as the day when Santos Dumont managed to make a vehicle fly 60 meters without the help of any catapult system.
And this incredible feat happened on the 23rd of October of 1906 when in the Bagatelle Fields in France, Santos Dumont flew this incredible and legendary aircraft known as the 14 bis in front of a delighted crowd. And he managed to make his way through 60 meters on the fields.
Now I know flying 60 meters might not seem all that impressive nor hardcore by today's standards. I mean, believe you me when I say Tom Cruise would never be able to do his crazy stunts aboard the 14 bis. However, for the time, this was a huge leap forward, both literally and figuratively.
And this legendary plane that is known internationally as the bird of prey, here in Brazil we like to call it the 14 bis. And the reason as to why Santos Dumont decided to call it that is actually because in order to test it aerodynamically, this thing would hang under Santos Dumont's 14th blip balloon. And well, it worked so much that it is known to this day, and as you can see, whenever it is in showcase, people come to see it. It's a legendary aircraft. And I'm pretty sure many of you in the audience can actually recognize this legendary aircraft. And I think it's actually because you might remember it from the Rio 2016 opening ceremony. In the ceremony, one of the highlights was that Santos Dumont, not the real one of course, flew that aircraft inside of the Maracanã in front of a delighted Brazilian crowd. And Santos Dumont was such a visionary that his work didn't end with the 14 bis. He continued building different blimp balloons and airplanes like this one, the Demoiselle, which means Missy in French. And this airplane behind me is actually the 19th version of the Demoiselle, which was published in 1907. In fact, the 20th version, which was actually launched in 1909, was so important for racing competitions that 300 overall were built in Europe and America, and it was also published in the popular magazine Popular Mechanics, which was one of the most important aviation magazines at the time. And this model also became so famous because Santos Dumont allegedly gave up his right over the patent of this project because he just wanted to popularize this vehicle. And of course, as you know, as we already said, that did happen. And now the original one is at the Le Bourget Aerospace Museum, which is the most important aerospace museum in France. And as you can tell, Santos Dumont continues to inspire hundreds of Brazilians and people worldwide, so much so that here we are in a museum that showcases some of Embraer's most important inventions. Embraer being the third biggest airplane manufacturer in the world, Brazilian manufacturer that is only behind Boeing and Airbus. And Santos Dumont is so important that our aviators have recently created a rocket that they named the 14X in homage to, of course, the 14 bis.
And as I made my way through the museum, I started to realize just how important his inventions really were to modern-day civilization.
The man really was a genius, but he wasn't the only one. There are many others, like the Wright brothers in America and Louis Blériot in France. But one of the things that all three of those have in common, besides aviation, is that none of this would have happened without them. We've landed. Hopefully you enjoyed this fifth episode of our show. I don't know why I've been wearing this jacket for the whole time. I live in Brazil. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really tired. But hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and hopefully we helped you realize just how important Mr. Alberto Santos Dumont is for us Brazilians. And let's be honest, the man is living proof that wherever you are, history will always be the star. We really hope you enjoyed this fifth video of our show. Leave a like, subscribe. Hopefully you can help us, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.
Alright guys, so remember my very cheap mail from episode 3 where we talk about Charles Darwin? If you haven't seen it, check it out. Well, basically what happened was the very cheap mail crash landed and I was very sad about it. But after I made this video, it has kind of inspired me to try again. And look at what I have created. Look at this beast. It's the very cheap mail version 2. And you are about to see it fly for the first time. You're going to witness history. You ready? Let's go!